Q and Review, celebrating 40 years of audio production, welcomes you to this week's edition of the Glasgow Times Sports podcast, recorded from our studio in the Bishopbriggs Media Centre and by our volunteers working from home. Keep up to date with Q and Review news via our Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, or Instagram at Q and Review. That's @CUEANDREVIEW, or get in touch with us directly by emailing information@qandreview.com. That's INFORMATION @CUEANDREVIEW.com, or by calling us on 0141 772 3979. Please like and share our podcast and give us constructive feedback.
Evening Times Sport, April 23. Celtic to get reduced ticket allocation for Dundee fixture. Report by David Irvin. Celtic have been handed a reduced allocation for the Scottish Premiership fixture against Dundee. The Parkhead Club have been given 3,323 tickets for away supporters for this weekend's match. That's around 400 tickets fewer than the club were able to sell for the fixture between the clubs on December 26 last year. In the last meeting at Dens Park, Celtic had an away allocation of 3,737. A Celtic FC ticket update read, tickets for the Cinch Premiership away fixture against Dundee on Sunday, April 28 are now on sale to eligible season ticket holders. The club received a reduced allocation of 3,323 tickets for this match. The reason for the lesser ticket allocation is currently unclear. Brendan Rodgers' side travelled to Dundee on Sunday in their first post-split Scottish Premiership fixture. The Parkhead club holds a 3-point lead over Rangers, heading into the final 5 league fixtures this season. Celtic's trip to Dens Park will kick off shortly after the conclusion of Rangers' first post-split fixture away to St Mirren in the early kick-off. But Rodgers has warned his players to be ruthless in the title race, as he branded results from elsewhere irrelevant. The Celtic boss said, "Our focus has always been on ourselves, and I made that point to the players. It is irrespective of what happens or what other results, the way it goes for other teams. We can only do our work because you can't soften up, especially at this time, just because another team might have drawn or lost, or whatever, because that is irrelevant. You have to perform and get the result, because if you come off it against teams that are motivated and organised, then you can have a problem. For us, we have to continually focus on our own performance, irrespective of what happens elsewhere, because we have to create our story, and for that we have to work at it, and hopefully that will be the storyline come the end of the season." Report by David Irvin. Evening Times Sport, April 23. Former Celtic boss lands top job. Report by Phil Casey. Martin O'Neill has been appointed chair of the League Managers Association to succeed Howard Wilkinson, who is retiring at the end of the season. O'Neill won the European Cup twice as a player with Nottingham Forest and was also capped 64 times by Northern Ireland before enjoying a successful managerial career with the likes of Leicester, Celtic, Aston Villa, Sunderland and the Republic of Ireland. The 72-year-old said, I am extremely proud to be voted the new LMA chair by my fellow managers. I am succeeding Howard Wilkinson, who has, for over 30 years, overseen the growth of the LMA and served its members with great distinction, dedication and passion. The support I have received from the MLA throughout my time as a manager has been hugely important to me, and I am delighted to have the opportunity to give something back to the association. I very much look forward to working alongside Chief Executive Richard Bevan and the team. I would like to build on the work Howard has done so diligently and hopefully continue to support the current and next generation of LMA members. Report by Phil Casey. Evening Times Sport, April 23. Joe Hart hints at possible Celtic stay. Report by Ewan Payton. Joe Hart says he could yet still stay at Celtic beyond his retirement as a player this summer. However, the former England and Manchester City number 1 is adamant this will not be as a coaching capacity. The Celtic goalkeeper insists coaching does not do it for him. However, the experienced keeper has hinted that he would be up for staying in Glasgow in some sort of different role once he hangs up his gloves. Hart announced earlier this year that he would retire at the end of the season. He will be aiming to go out on a high by winning the league and cup double in the final 6 games of the campaign for the Hoops. Hart was a hero on Saturday, eventually, as he saved from Killian Phillips to send Celtic into the final of the Scottish Cup in place of Aberdeen. They will take on Rangers on May 25. The 37-year-old is ultimately still unsure what his next career move will look like after his playing days are over. But, speaking at An Evening with Joe Hart at Celtic Park on Sunday, he told the event that he's had talks with Brendan Rodgers, and he said, "I have not taken any coaching badges. That was quite a conscious decision. I know that coaching and management is ingrained in a lot of people, but for me, it doesn't necessarily do it for me. I want to help, I want to give back, but there's different ways that I can do it. I will always be available to Celtic if they ever need to lean on me for anything. I have made the manager and the club aware of that, but coaching a specific team, that's not something that I'm looking to do. I'm going to try and go out with a bang. I'm really going to leave it all on the line. That's what I've done throughout my career, and sometimes it's worked, sometimes it has not." Report by Ewan Payton. Evening Times Sport, April 23. Chris Sutton cleared by Ofcom after Old Firm complaint. Report by Ewan Payton. Chris Sutton has been cleared by Ofcom following complaints about his commentary during the most recent Rangers vs Celtic match. The TV watchdog cleared Sutton for saying that Matt O'Reilly had some balls for chipping his penalty beyond Jack Butland during the first half of the match. The Denmark midfielder scored a Panenka penalty to make it 2-0 to the visitors at Ibrox on April 7, with the game eventually finishing 3-3. Sutton was on co-commentary duty for the game, alongside Ian Crocker and Kenny Miller on Sky Sports. After the spot kick was taken by O'Reilly, Sutton said, "What a nerve from Matt O'Reilly. Panenka, that is courageous. Celtic have not got a good record from penalties this season, but you've got to have some balls to do that in this fixture. Following the game, made on live broadcast, 3 complaints were filed with the TV regulator about his comment. The complainants claimed they breached generally accepted standards. Now Ofcom has reviewed the footage. They have railed that it did not warrant any further investigation under the Broadcasting Code. An Ofcom spokesperson said, "A brief remark made during the game's commentary did not raise issues warranting investigation under our rules." Report by Ewan Payton. Evening Times Sport, April 24. Fashion Sakala in record-breaking season after Rangers exit. Report by David Irvin. Fashion Sakala has enjoyed a record-breaking campaign at Al Fayha. The 27-year-old Zambian forward has written his name in the history books by becoming the first player to score 17 goals in a league season for the club. Sakala, who headed for Saudi from Rangers in the summer, has scored 17 goals in all competitions and provided 8 assists this term. Celebrating his achievement on Instagram, the striker posted, "God bless, history made," becoming the first player for Al Fayha to score 14 goals in Saudi Pro League season, 17 goals and 8 assists in all competition this season. Scoring more than 12 goals in 4 seasons in a row is a good motivation to keep working hard. Dreams don't die. Read Proverbs 16:3. Thank you so much for your support, and I'm humbled. Sakala, who was sold for £4 million, previously aired his grievances over his Rangers exit after Michael Beale told the forward not to return to the training ground. The Zambian international was left frustrated after being unable to properly say goodbye to his teammates as Beale bombed the forward out of the Rangers squad. He said, "I think I deserved much better. I deserve to be respected at least. I can leave the club, but don't tell me not to train with the team. Don't tell me not to go to the Rangers training centre anymore, as if I did something wrong. I understand you want to sell me to get money to buy new players. That is fine. But let me just be part of the team. Let me say goodbye nicely to my teammates. When I received a call that I shouldn't go to the training ground anymore, I didn't see any of my teammates anymore. It was hard to say goodbye in such a bad way to people who looked after me so well. Tavarney, Goldson. I had to talk to them on phones when it was time to leave. It was hard for them to believe that I was not allowed to go to the training ground anymore." Report by David Irvin. Evening Times Sport, April 24. Former Celtic peer in frame for Parkhead coaching return. Report by David Irvin. Former Celtic pair Johnny Hayes and Charlie Mulgrew are reportedly in the frame for a return to the club in a coaching capacity. They have both been linked with the under-18 head coach vacancy at Celtic. The Scottish Sun reports the players are vying for the vacancy, with other candidates also being considered for the Parkhead post. Mulgrew, who was recently at Lennoxtown to observe a first-team session, is aiming to pave his way in coaching after retiring as a player in the summer. The former defender played for Celtic for 7 years over 2 spells at the club and is reportedly keen on a coaching position with them. Hayes, meanwhile, is still playing for Aberdeen, but has not featured since February. Hayes was signed by Brendan Rodgers in 2017, so he has a connection with the Celtic boss. The 36-year-old former Republic of Ireland international is also working in the Aberdeen youth system at under-16 level. Celtic are seeking a new under-18 head coach after Stuart McLaren left the role. The recruitment drive comes as Darren O'Day moved into a new role as professional player pathway manager at the club. The former B-team boss will oversee the development and progression of youth players into the first team at Celtic. On the role, O'Day said, "Having been fortunate enough to be part of a Celtic first-team environment in my career, I am passionate about working to give other young players the same opportunity. In this new role, I will be working between our academy structure and the first-team environment to ensure that we do all we can to provide the very best pathway and levels of support to allow our young players to reach their full potential and to ultimately deliver at first-team level." Report by David Irvin. Evening Times Sport, April 24. Rangers Goulson reveals turning down international approach. Report by David Irvin. Connor Goulson has revealed he turned down a shock international approach while at Rangers. The Ibrox defender has explained he knocked back the call-up in 2021 after winning the league title. The 31-year-old Goulson was approached by the Jamaican FA over the opportunity to represent the country. However, he turned down the possible recognition. Goulson, who qualifies for Jamaica through his grandparents, opted against a shot at international football due to intense club commitments at Rangers and his distant affiliation with Jamaica. Speaking of the international approach from Jamaica Chiefs, when appearing on the Talking Transitions podcast, he said, "I had the message a few years ago after we won the league. It was too hard. We play so many games here. I was playing 60 games a season. Then, obviously, I have got kids now. To then go and leave my kids on international breaks and go and play for Jamaica. To be fair, my nan and granddad on my dad's side both died before I was born, so I don't have that much of an affiliation. I feel I should leave it to people that do." Evening Times Sport, April 24. Old Firm linked with £3.5 million goalkeeper. Report by David Irvin. Celtic and Rangers are reportedly interested in Standard Liège goalkeeper Arnaud Bodart. The 26-year-old is expected to leave Belgium this summer, despite having 1 year left on his contract. Bodart, who played against Rangers in the Europa League in 2020, is also a reported transfer target for Premier League club Luton Town. Strasbourg had shown interest in the shot-stopper in January, but it is unclear whether the club remains actively keen on a deal in the summer. However, Football Belgique report that a dream transfer beckons for Bodart this summer, with the goalkeeper ready to leave Standard, where he has played his entire career. The Belgian outlet claim Rangers are leading the race for the in-demand player, with Ibrox Chiefs keen to strike a deal at the end of the season. Standard Club Chiefs are reportedly intent on demanding a £3.5 million transfer fee for Bodart, with the player still contracted for another season. Both Celtic and Rangers could be looking for goalkeeping reinforcements in the summer. Joe Hart is set to retire from professional football at the end of the season, with Benjamin Siegrist and Scott Bain, the backup keepers currently at Parkhead. Rangers, meanwhile, have number 1 Jack Butland on the books, with the stopper enjoying an impressive first season at Ibrox. However, John McLaughlin is set to leave the club in the summer, with Robbie McCrory the other member of the goalkeeping department. Report by David Irvin. Evening Times Sport, April 24. UEFA Board says player behaviour towards referees a critical issue. Report by Martin Macmillan. Former players on UEFA's Football Board feel behaviour towards referees has become a critical issue, and also want to clamp down on players faking injuries and time wasting. A meeting chaired by former Real Madrid and Inter Milan winger Luis Figo discussed officiating, coach and player behaviour towards match officials, time wasting and VAR. Former players and coaches including Eric Abidal, Rafael Benitez, Petra Cech, Rio Ferdinand, Jurgen Klinsmann, Juan Mata and Patrick Vieira were present at the meeting. The board suggested a campaign led by key players should be launched to shed light on the unfairness of faking injuries to help eradicate it from the game. A UEFA statement read, "The board consensually acknowledged that the behaviour of players and coaches towards match officials in several recent instances has become a critical issue and does not contribute positively to the good image of the game. The members are united in their belief that this issue needs to be addressed as firmly as possible. The board concluded that it is important for coaches to set the example for their teams and for the mobbing of officials to be eliminated. Referees are an essential element of football and should be protected from all forms of abuse. What happens in the professional game has the power to influence the whole pyramid. Recruiting and retaining referees is highly dependent on the positive examples set in competitions followed by millions of fans. It was agreed that a firm disciplinary approach is justified, but that it would also be advisable to improve the transparency of communication between match officials and coaches to inspire mutual understanding and respect. The board was keen for VAR to become more consistent, transparent and understandable for players, coaches and fans, while adding that it should be seen as a tool for helping officials as opposed to a negative judgment on referees. Figo said, "Meeting with the UEFA Football Board is important for UEFA and football in general, as it provides us with invaluable insights from key stakeholders who have experienced the game at the highest levels about the various current topics and issues facing our game. We look forward to reviewing the discussions as part of UEFA's unwavering commitment to improving the game we love for all and for generations to come." Report by Martin Macmillan. Evening Times Sport, April 25. Celtic get optimistic news regarding key player. Report by Ewan Payton. Celtic have been given hope that Daizen Maida's season is not over. It was expected that the Japanese frontman would see out the remainder of the campaign on the sidelines after sustaining a hamstring injury in recent weeks. However, it has emerged that this is not necessarily the case, with manager Brendan Rodgers giving supporters cause for optimism regarding his potential return to the squad. During a private question and answer session at Celtic Park yesterday, Rodgers said that Maeda's recovery was coming along well and was progressing quicker than anticipated. It was suggested that his return to first-team action could be imminent. This will not come at the weekend against Dundee, but it could potentially come as soon as next week when Hearts visit the East End of Glasgow. The event was a gathering for shareholders to ask questions directly of Rodgers. While this is potentially fantastic news in terms of the season run-in, generally speaking, for the champions, if it does turn out to be the case, then Maeda will be fit in time to play Rangers on Saturday, May 11. The 26-year-old has a particularly good record against the blue half of Glasgow. This was highlighted none more so than last time out, where he opened the scoring at Ibrox after just 21 seconds, forcing James Tavernier into an error. It would also be a boost for the Scottish Cup final against Rangers at Hampden on Saturday, May 25, as the Hoops aim to defend their trophy. That game will kick off at 3 p.m. at the National Stadium. It has been confirmed by the Scottish FA. The decision to stick with the traditional kick-off time means that the Scottish Cup final will clash directly with the FA Cup final, which will be played between Manchester City and Manchester United at Wembley on the same day at the same time. Report by Ewan Payton. Evening Times Sport, April 25. Major transfer interest in youngster at Celtic. Report by Ewan Payton. Celtic youngster Bosun Lowell is reportedly the subject of major interest from the English Football League ahead of this summer. The 20-year-old has enjoyed a successful season on loan at Fleetwood Town in League One, despite the club's recent relegation. The Irishman was moved into midfield, with his previous position at centre-back adapted by former Rangers midfielder, now head coach of Fleetwood, Charlie Adam. His individual performances in a struggling side have earned him no end of plaudits, and it is believed he will have no shortage of options should Brendan Rodgers look to send him out on loan again. The Scottish Sun claims that there is a host of interest from both the Championship and League One ahead of the summer transfer window. Rodgers is likely to give Lowell a chance to impress upon the player's return for pre-season training at the end of June. But if it seems the Republic of Ireland under-21 international is in further need of more game time, then he and Celtic will have the pick of the clubs to choose from. Report by Ewan Payton. Evening Times Sport, April 25. Ewan Ferguson taking inspiration from Tiger Woods. Report by Phil Casey. Scotland's Ewan Ferguson will look to take inspiration from Tiger Woods as he bids to claim a third DP World Tour title in the ISPS Handa Championship. Woods was involved in an incredible finish to the 2001 World Cup, which took place at this week's venue of Teheyo Golf Club in Gotemba, which sits in the foothills of Mount Fuji. The 15-time major winner and partner David Duval were 5 shots off the lead with just 4 holes to play, but birdied the 15th, 16th and 17th before Woods chipped in for an eagle on the last to get into a four-way playoff. Woods and Duval were eliminated on the first extra hole as South Africa's Ernie Els and Retief Goosen went on to lift the title. But Ferguson has been watching highlights of the exciting climax to get ready for his return to action after 3 weeks off. I always look back at highlights from previous tournaments at the venue, said Ferguson, whose previous wins both came in 2022, including the ISPS Handa World Invitational in Northern Ireland. I watched the highlights from 2001 with Tiger and Duvan. We were watching Tigers chip in on the 72nd hole in 2001, which was cool. There's been a few changes since then, but I'm buzzing to get going. I've been out on the course a few times, and it plays amazing. The greens are so pure. It's a tree-lined destination. You can't beat it. I'm enjoying it. I have not played for 3 weeks, so I may be a bit rusty. But a few holes in, you start to find your feet. Anything can happen in any week in golf. I have been playing consistent this season. Hopefully get myself up there and into contention this week, and if not, a bit more often in future. My golf has been good, just a couple of shots here and there would push it to the next level. Ferguson has missed just one cut in 9 events this season and finished tied 47th on his last start in the Hero Indian Open, an event won by Japan's Kita Nakajima. Nakajima currently leads the DP World Tour's Asian Swing rankings, with the top 3 after next week's Volvo China Open, earning places in May's United States PGA Championship at Valhalla. Report by Phil Casey. Evening Times Sport, April 25. Stephen Davis predicts bright future for Rangers kid. Report by Chris Jack. Stephen Jack has backed compatriot Ross McCausland to play a big part in Rangers' bid for a domestic clean sweep in the coming weeks. Davis pitched McCausland into first-team action during his spell in interim charge at Ibrox, as he came off the bench in the defeat to Aris Limassol and then featured against St Mirren. McCausland scored his first goal for his boyhood heroes in the return fixtures at home to Aris, and has made more than 30 appearances in all competitions this term. A dream few weeks for the Northern Irishman saw him make his international debut and commit his long-term future to Rangers. Now he has the chance to end his breakthrough campaign with all 3 medals. Said Davis, "I think the future is bright. It's up to him now to try and maintain that and kick on again. He got the opportunity under me to come into the side, and when Philippe came in, he really liked what he saw and what he could bring to the team in terms of his creativity and runs in behind. He's played in some big games now. He's picked up a lot of experience in a short space of time. The injury has hindered him slightly, so it's about him finding his feet again. Ross could play a big part between now and the end of the season." Report by Chris Jack. Evening Times Sport, April 25. Partick Thistle to continue their momentum to end of season. Report by Rhys Haldane. Last Saturday saw the Championship's 2 forum sides lock horns at Firhill as Partick Thistle played host to Rhys McCabe's ambitious Airdrie, with both sides requiring a solitary point to clinch their respective playoff berths. Thistle had been plagued with injuries in recent weeks that many feared would jeopardise the club's promotion tilt. However, the Firhill faithful received a timely boost prior to kick-off when March Player of the Month Scott Robinson was named in the starting lineup. Despite neither side being content to play for a point, the first half turned out to be a timid affair, with clear-cut chances coming few and far between. Nevertheless, it took Thistle only 5 minutes of second-half action to start flexing their muscle on their way to a 4-goal win. Thistle confirmed their playoff spot in style. Results elsewhere meant that Airdrie had also done enough to limp over the finish line to secure their post-season place, regardless to that 4-0 drubbing. With 4 wins and 2 draws in their last 6 outings, somewhat similar to last season, Partick Thistle appeared to be heating up at just the right time as they saved their best performance of the campaign for the playoff dress rehearsal. Thistle, now full of confidence, head into their final 2 fixtures of the league campaign with a sense of flexibility and freedom around their game. And Thistle boss Chris Doolan has now assured supporters that his side will not ease off in their quest for third spot as they aim to continue building positive momentum to carry into the Premiership promotion playoffs. Evening Times Sport, April 25. Rogers in Firm, "We're not on holiday," Celtic rallying cry. Report by David Irvin. Brendan Rodgers has issued a rallying cry to his Celtic players to finish the season in style, as he warned, "We are not here on holiday." The Parkhead manager has demanded his players adopt his mantra to win in the best fashion possible and not sneak over the line. Celtic currently lead the Scottish Premiership with a 3-point gap over Rangers at the top of the table, and Rodgers has urged his players to seize the opportunity of a League and Cup double, having set up a Celtic vs Rangers Scottish Cup final date next month after victory over Aberdeen. Speaking to Celtic TV, Rodgers said, "That is the expectation. We are not here on holiday. We are here to win, and we are here to win in the best fashion that we possibly can. That has always been my mantra. It's not just about winning. You have to win in the best way possible. I think we sense that, and we feel that as a club, and that is the excitement around it. Everything is in our hands to achieve what we want to achieve, so that is what we are focusing on." Rodgers' demand comes after Cameron Carter-Vickers agreed there is no room to slip up for Celtic. The Parkhead centre-back said, "It's still tight in the table. 3 points is nothing. That's one game. So we're fully focused on trying to perform in the next 5 league games. We have got our place in one cup final. Does it feel like we have 5 more in the league before then? 100%. We will probably need to win all of the games in the league to get to where we want to be. They are all big games coming up, 5 in the league and then the cup final. So we've got 6 games left, and they are all must perform and must win for us." Report by David Irvin. Evening Times Sport, April 25. Gerrard plotting to take 2 key Rangers players to Saudi. Report by Ewan Payton. James Tavernier could well join up with former Rangers manager Steven Gerrard in Saudi Arabia this summer, and there is potential that Connor Goldson could make his way to the Middle East as well. Reports have emerged that the former Ibrox boss is planning to launch a bid to bring two of his former players to Al Ettifaq. Yesterday, Saudi media outlet Slati reported that a deal for Tavernier in particular could be reached after the conclusion of the domestic season in Scotland. They state that Gerrard has made a recommendation to the recruitment chiefs at Al Ettifaq as the Pro League side aims to get their transfer dealings spot on this summer. This is said to have received the backing of the club. Goldson's name is another floating around the cash side, who currently sit 7th in Saudi's top division. Of course, both players were key figures during Gerrard's tenure at Ibrox and have continued to play a major role under Giovanni van Bronckhorst, Michael Beale, and now Philippe Clement. Gerrard's first season in Saudi has not been a classic, with a title tilt some way off his radar. But with no signs of giving up on the Liverpool legend, it seems Ettifaq are prepared to back the former England international to get things right with their latest round of recruitment in the months ahead. Tavernier and Goldson's contracts run until 2026 in Glasgow. Should both of them leave, it's said that around £70,000 a week in wages could be freed up for Clement as he tackles a rebuild of his own at Rangers. Tavernier joined Rangers in 2015 under Mark Warburton's watch in the Championship and has gone on to become the club's highest ever scoring defender from right back. Goldson was one of Gerrard's first signings when he joined in the summer of 2018. Report by Ewan Payton. Evening Times Sport, April 26. Celtic defender on lack of contact with manager. Report by Ewan Payton. Gustav Legerbeck has admitted that a lack of close contact with manager Brendan Rodgers has felt odd during his debut season at Celtic. The defender, who the Northern Irishman signed last summer, has made just 10 appearances since his arrival from Elfsborg. Back in his native Sweden, the 24-year-old insists he's used to feeling closer to the boss of the team. So, while it's not like that in Scotland, Lagerbielke insists it's all about pulling yourself together and making sure you're ready for your chance, if it comes. He told Aftonbladet, "It's not like in Sweden. You cannot have that close contact with the manager, so it's just about pulling yourself together and taking the chance when you get it. You just have to focus on what you can control and try to develop. It can be tricky to keep motivated, but I feel in the best form I've ever been, so I just want to show what I can do and how good I am. At the end of the day, there is only one person's opinion that's important, deciding if you play or not." The centre-back was set to move on loan to Italian side Lecce in January, but it collapsed at the last minute. This was because Rodgers felt the squad was short on defensive options, with Cameron Carter-Vickers ruled out at the time. He reflected, "It's been educational. It might sound like a cliché when you move abroad. Some real ups and downs, some real highs, probably some of the highest peaks of my career, but also some lows with little playing time. So both good and bad from a football perspective, but off the pitch it's been great. We really like it here." Away from football, we take advantage of living somewhere else. Not many people get the opportunity to live in a different country. It rains quite a lot here in Scotland, so we haven't spent that much time outdoors, but we've been to the Highlands and visited a couple of castles. Report by Ewan Payton. Evening Times Sport, April 26. Celtic veteran who sets the standard. Report by Graham McGarry. The knowledge that Joe Hart is set to retire at the end of the season has meant there has been a natural focus on the veteran goalkeeper going out on a high. For that to happen though, the Celtic number 1 says that another senior member of Brendan Rodgers' squad may well be a key figure. James Forrest put in a hugely impressive cameo from the bench on Saturday at Hampden, scoring within minutes and showing the threat he still has to offer from the wing, prompting questions around why the 32-year-old has been used quite so sparingly this season. Hart feels, though, that Forrest may well have a pivotal role to play on the field yet in the final 6 fixtures of the campaign, as Celtic eye up a League and Scottish Cup double, while his influence behind the scenes is beyond question. "I just wish his goal against Aberdeen was the winner," said Hart. "He has been exceptional. I could not think any higher of him as a person. James sets the standards. He's been out of squads this season, and he has just trained brilliantly every single day. We have had injury problems. The club have made commitments to other players with contracts and things like that. That's life at the top end. But James Forrest has not flinched. James Forrest has been exceptional every time he has been called upon. He is exceptional in training. He came on and really calmed us down. He was brilliant on Saturday. I just wish we could have finished the game at 2-1 in 90 minutes, and then it would be James having the conversations afterwards." Forrest has not always been the darling of the Celtic support, but history is likely to be kind to the winger, who is now one of the most decorated players in the club's history. If he can add another couple of medals to his collection between now and the end of the season, he will only add to that legacy. And Hart says that the players are aware that this is the time when heroes could be made. He said, "Everyone is fit apart from the obvious issue we have with Dazen Maeda, but hopefully we are going to get him back before the end of the season. Everyone else is fit and available, and everyone wants to do their best to put us in the best place possible. Nothing is done. We have just got to take care of our business and focus on the next game. It is a huge opportunity this week to get a good training week into us and go into a huge game at Dundee. There's a long way to go. Nothing is done. We've got a lot of hard work ahead of us, but we have put ourselves in a good spot and we're feeling good." That being said, Hart is not ignoring the deficiencies in the Celtic side that were laid bare at the weekend, which he says they will be doing their utmost to eradicate even at this late stage of the season. It is to their credit, he argues, that they have managed to find a way to dig deep and put themselves in such an advantageous position, despite the campaign as a whole being far from perfect. And he continued, "We have had warning signs all season. There's no excuse. It's not been a perfect season, but we're digging in. At the right moments we are playing our stuff, but there are also moments when the games are tight and tough, and we're still managing to do our thing. We will see. We have it set up, but there's plenty of work to do." On a personal note, there is no escaping the topic of Hearts' final bow, and he is delighted that, fitness permitting, he will now take that curtain call at the National Stadium in the Scottish Cup final. He was relieved that his penalty miss in the shootout against Aberdeen ended up a mere footnote to Saturday's thrilling contest, and he is hoping that the afternoon of May 25th against Rangers will be a day to remember at Hampden, and a fitting way to call time on his career. He said, "It could be, hopefully. I've got a date now. I've got a date that I know is going to be the final game that I am available to be involved in. Who knows what is going to happen in the next 5 weeks? Hopefully I'll be fit and in form and picked to play. It's all set up though." Report by Graham McGarry. Evening Times Sport, April 26. Lasley impact on and off the pitch at St Mirren. Report by David Irvin. Football is often tarred with the suggestion that it is an industry full of jobs for the boys. When it comes to Keith Lasley at St Mirren, that could not be further from the truth. Lasley's qualifications for his role at the SMI-SA Stadium extend far beyond his links to Paisley. A sports directorship master's degree, which he was working on as he first took the role, speaks volumes to the calibre of individual in situ in the St Mirren COO position. And then there's that intangible quality. Simply put, he gets it. That's not something exclusive to St Mirren either. Lasley understood the importance of the support and club when at Motherwell. But now, with the Paisley People Performance Strategy in place, it is little wonder such good work is evident on and off the park at St Mirren. That's not to say things are perfect. The COO would admit as much himself. But there are clear signs of progress and meaningful progress that positively impacts supporters, the surrounding area, and the football club as a whole. Lasley put it best in an excellent interview with club media this week, when he said, "It is about the football, but it's about that surrounding area as well, and trying to build a bit of ownership since the club have moved to the stadium. There are so many fantastic memories at Love Street, but you want to try and have that sense of ownership of this area and Paisley as well. It goes back to the club. What is the club? We are here to connect our supporters to be as one, and back to that thing of being greater than the sum of your parts." Look on the pitch, and under Stephen Robinson, with Lasley's influence from the offices within the stadium, there is great progress being made. Take a glance around the stadium and progress is being made with new executive boxes and electronic advertising boards pitch side and outside the stadium. And most importantly, look at the engagement from supporters. Attendances are well up, fan enthusiasm is through the roof, and engagement with the club, which was lacking in previous regimes, is evident. St Mirren are thriving on and off the park currently, and Lasley has played a significant part in that. And another thing, Stephen Robinson's remarks that the pressure is off for St Mirren could be received in a number of different ways. Obviously, the pressure for a successful season is off, with St Mirren safely in the top flight and with a top 6 finish secured. Forget any other factors. That would always be deemed a majorly successful season for the Buddies. However, this season you cannot seem to shake the feeling there is pressure to land that last European spot. Fifth is up for grabs, and the reward of a spot in the Europa Conference League qualifying. To be in the battle for that does not come around too often. In my view, Robinson is correct in his assessment of the pressure being off, but the ambition certainly is not lessened. 5 huge matches are coming up, starting against Rangers, and while there is no pressure, there is some expectation. I can only assume Robinson's comments may have come to ease the players after a difficult conclusion to the regular season. This team has performed best when underestimated or overlooked. It struggled at times when given the respect deserved against fellow Scottish Premiership teams. Perhaps easing the shackles, as Robinson put it, will see a return to form at the perfect time. And finally, it was unsurprising to hear top clubs are tracking Ethan Sutherland. This week, Manchester City and Chelsea were credited with interest in the 17-year-old, who has impressed on loan at Allo Athletic. For St Mirren, the outcome is guaranteed to be net positive. In Sutherland, there is a real talented youngster with a promising future in Paisley or beyond. Should he remain in Scotland, then St Mirren will be boosted by him in the first team. Should he decide on a move to England, then a decent transfer fee would be required, with the teenager contracted for another year. It's another win for the St Mirren Academy setup, says David Irvin. Evening Times Sport, April 26. Hannah Rankin on bouncing back and getting on track towards another world title. Report by Susan Egglestaff. Hannah Rankin has experienced both the giddy heights of success and the depths of despair throughout the course of her 7-year professional boxing career, but she admits the aftermath of her last fight was particularly tough to navigate. Having lost out on becoming Scotland's first female unified champion of the world due to a somewhat contentious decision by the judges in her bout against Slovenia's Ima Kuzin last November, she also had to process the death of her grandmother, who passed away in the lead-up to the fight. Rankin, however, who is a former WBA and IBO world champion, is an experienced beast and is rarely unsure as to how to recalibrate and reset, something she proved amidst one of the most bitter disappointments of her career. She says, "It was not an easy bounce back after the Kozin loss, because I was frustrated with the decision. A lot of people had me winning that fight, and I thought I did enough. I didn't box to the best of my ability, but still, I felt I had done enough. And then people are trying to be nice in the aftermath by saying they thought I should have got the decision. But that's so demoralizing because it makes you wonder if so many people think that. How could the judges not?" And then the 33-year-old says, "With my gran passing away too, there was a lot going on. But after that fight, I spent time with my family, more than my gran. And then in January, I went to Montreal to work with the Canadian Olympic team for a month, so that was really good. It helped me clear my head and come back to the UK fully focused." Rankin has returned, she believes, to something close to her peak physical and mental state, and now she's ready to return to the ring. This evening in Liverpool, the Scot will take on Germany's Naomi Manis for the WBA Super Welterweight Continental title. It's a change of opponent from the initial plan to fight Grace Mwikameli from Tanzania, and she admits she's champing at the bit to get back into action and blow away any cobwebs that may linger from the Kozan bout. I feel great. I can't wait to get in there and put on a show. I want to get that last fight out my system and get another win to my name, says Rankin, who has a 13-7 win-loss record. It's going to be a good night, and it'll be in memory of my gran, so I'm looking forward to it. I'm really excited to be fighting for the WBA Continental title, because it's always great to have a belt attached to whatever I'm doing. Fighting for this title sets me up for fighting for another world title, so everything's on track to getting that world title shot again, and that's my main focus. My switch of opponent is pretty typical in this sport, so I'm used to these kind of changes, but the goal is still the same, to get my arm raised. We may only be in the 4th month of the year, but already Rankin has almost the entirety of her 2024 meticulously planned. Following what she hopes will be a dominant victory this evening, Rankin will then begin preparing for a significant challenge outside the ring. This summer, the Luss native will be part of the boxing commentary team for the Olympic Broadcasting Company at Paris 2024, and while she's already dabbled in commentary, something of this scale is, she acknowledges, a different challenge entirely. She's quick to point out, however, that more regular commentary work does not mean she has any plans to hang up her gloves and make a permanent move into the media just yet. After all, she's already laser-focused on becoming world champion once again later this year, ideally with a rematch against Kozan. And she says, I really enjoy doing commentary, and it will be very exciting to be a part of Paris. Commentary is something I'd love to do after boxing, but this isn't me starting to think about retiring. This opportunity has just fallen in my lap, and I'm absolutely buzzing to be involved. I've had a lot of tips from people, so hopefully it will go well. There's so much to learn though. The prelims are just me alone on the mic, so that's a bit terrifying. My dog Calvin has heard a lot of my voice recently with me practicing at home. And then after Paris, I'll be looking at autumn time for a world title fight. I want a rematch with Kozan to put that last result to bed. I desperately want to become world champion again in 2024, and I firmly believe I can do it. I can't wait to bring another world title back to Scotland later in the year. Report by Susan Egglestaff. Evening Times Sport, April 26. Ibrox Stadium modifications needed for Old Firm matches. Report by David Irvin. James Bisgrove has revealed both Ibrox and Parkhead require stadium modifications to host matches between Rangers and Celtic. The Ibrox chief executive has explained changes will be made to the turnstiles at Ibrox before the 5% away allocation comes into force next season. Celtic and Rangers agreed a deal to adopt a European-style allocation for derby fixtures. There will be no away fans for the remaining matches this term. And Bisgrove has now suggested a contributing factor to the absence of away fans for derby matches in recent seasons has been the need for tweaks at both grounds. Speaking at a Rangers CEO fan forum, Bisgrove said, "One of the reasons 0 has been the number at the last 2 Old Firm games is that both clubs need modifications to their stadiums. We will make adjustments to turnstiles. Parkhead will make modifications to ingress and egress to improve the supporters' experience. Time has been taken to get it right for next season. Feedback suggests our away support experience is suboptimal, and we hope to get improvement on that with the 5% allocation we will receive at Parkhead. Some supporters will be moved at Ibrox due to the 5% allocation, but Bisgrove has insisted the change is an overall positive, as he vowed a greater allocation like the previous Broomloan stand would never be allowed. He added, "It is positive in terms of atmosphere, and for the spectacle of the fixture, it is a positive step forward. However, I would like to put on record again that this board would never go beyond 5%, that is, the full Broomloan stand. The European allocation is the right number. If we had not engaged in this process, there was a risk another number could have been imposed, which would be less favourable." Report by David Irvin.
From the Glasgow Times, Sunday the 28th of April, from the sports section. Clermont makes Rangers mentality call and assesses Desser's impact, by senior Rangers writer Christopher Jack. Philip Clermont admits the ends justified the means for Rangers as they left it late to see off St Mirren and keep the Premiership title challenge on track. Cyril Dessers netted his 20th goal of the campaign with just 15 minutes remaining to secure a crucial 3 points and end a difficult run of league form for Clermont's side. Rangers had earlier seen their opener, scored after James Bolton converted into his own net, cancelled out by a Michael Mandron header. Rangers have been beaten by Motherwell and Ross County and held by Celtic and Dundee in recent weeks, as their momentum under Clermont's guidance has been halted. This battling victory came in the back of a Scottish Cup win against Hearts and leaves Rangers potentially just 5 wins away from a clean sweep of honours this season. It was yet another unconvincing performance for Clermont's side as they toiled for large spells of a tight encounter. Yet, Clermont was able to reflect on a job well done in the end as he praised the character of his side to emerge victorious. That they did what they need to, and that is winning games, Clermont said. That is the first thing. Was it our most sexy game? No. But it is also the circumstances, in all respect to St Mirren also. They are aggressive, they are powerful in the duels, the pitch is also smaller and that creates more duels. We had to dig in, we knew that from before, but the team did. We get the result. I don't think if you don't lead with 2-0 or 3-0 that one team will have an easy game here. That is because of the quality and mentality of St Mirren, of their players and their manager. It is about taking the 3 points and with very good second goal also. Rangers return to Premiership action when they host Kilmarnock in their second post-Blitz fixture on Sunday. The fourth Old Firm showdown of the season could be defining in the title race, and the Glasgow Giants will also go head-to-head at Hampden next month. Clermont's side have not been fluent for some time, but the Belgian, a serial winner during his time in his homeland with Genk and Club Brugge, knows what it takes to get over the line in a title race. Of course, Clermont said, if it was about winning by any means necessary at this stage of the campaign. It is all season like that. Football is about results in the end. Nobody remembers that we won 4-0 against Hibs in October with really good football, or other games. At the end it is about the points. We had a lot of good games like that, but you need in a season games that you win with resilience, or mentality, or digging in together and fighting. There is not one team in the world who only wins games in a beautiful way, like the team did already several times. For sure, not teams who win trophies. You need both, and they showed them the right mentality today. Now it is getting good recovery and working towards next weekend and go towards then. Time was running out for Rangers before Dessers provided a crucial moment to win it. A James Tavernier cross evaded Bolton and keeper Zach Hemming and the Nigerian nodded home from close range. Dessers has often been a maligned figure amongst the Rangers support during a difficult first term at Ibrox. His boss appreciates his efforts though, after a match-winning intervention in Paisley. That it is not only the goals, Clement said, it is also the work he is doing without the ball, also his work is high support. He is working really hard for the team, he is giving everything. He changed the situation himself in a really good way. If I hear what the fans are singing now or 6 months ago, there are different songs. But he deserves because he's been working really hard to help the team, not only thinking about himself, but to help the team. Then the moments come and the situations come to be decisive in that position. It was again a really good finish today, and a good cross of Tav also. In an article written by Christopher Jack. From the Glasgow Times, Sunday the 28th of April, from the sports section. St Mirren 1, Rangers 2. Dessers hits winner in Paisley. Report by Ronnie Esplin. Cyril Dessers' second half header gave unconvincing Rangers a hard-fought 2-1 win at St Mirren to keep their cinched Premiership title bid on track. The Ibrox side arrived at the SMI Stadium without a league win in 3 matches, and they were helped in the 33rd minute when Saints defender James Bolton put the ball into his own net, attempting a goal line clearance. Home striker Mikael Mandron deservedly levelled with a well-placed header 4 minutes later, and the second half was a struggle for the visitors before Dessers popped up with a powerful header in the 74th minute to ultimately seal the points. Rangers had got back to winning ways in the Scottish Cup semi-final against Hearts last week without defender Connor Goldson, and he was left on the bench again. Borna Barisic came in for the injured Abdallah Sima, with Dujon Sterling moving from left back into attack, while Fabio Silva replaced the injured Rabbi Matondo. Ryan Strain, Conor McMenamin, Bolton and Mandron returned for the home side, who could have taken the lead inside a minute. Hesitating Gers skipper James Tavernier was caught in possession by Michael Mandron, but the striker's drive was saved by Ibrox keeper Jack Butland. An open game unfolded further. Rangers midfielder John Lundstrom, who's reportedly reached an agreement with Trabzonspor for a move in the summer, curled a shot wide of the far post after the home side cleared a corner, then drove wide from the edge of the box. Butland made another good save from a man-drawn effort as the Ibrox defence melted again, although an offside flag went up. McMenamin had a deflected shot saved by Butland before Silva broke clear at the other end, but took too long, and his shot was blocked by defender Alex Gojic for a corner, after which the Saints keeper made terrific saves from Lundstrom and Tavernier. Saints fans booed loudly when the Portuguese attacker Silva appeared to go down too easily in the penalty area following a challenge by Gojic. Rangers' opener came from a short corner. Barisic's deep cross was tipped by Hemming onto the head of Mohamed Diomande, and when the midfielder's header came back across goal, Bolton could only turn it over the line in trying to keep Dessers at bay. However, the Paisley side were soon level when Mandron held off defender Leon Balogun to head skipper Marco Hara's swirling cross low past Butland. Saints sensed another goal was there for the taking, and Butland made a world-class save from Bolton's shot just before the break. Winger Ross McCausland replaced the ineffective Silva in the 55th minute as Rangers struggled to show any discernible improvement. The Govan side were at times visibly frustrated with their inability to gain control of the game. In the 67th minute, Gers midfielder Todd Cantwell drove into the St Mirren box but curled the ball past the far post. However, it was a cross of real quality which helped restore Rangers' lead. Tavernier's pinpoint delivery from the right finding the head of Dessers, who headed past Hemming to the relief of the Gers fans behind the goal. A miraculous goal line clearance from Goji stopped substitute Tom Lawrence, making it 3-1, the Buddies defender somehow making up yards of ground, with Balogun's tackle on Saints substitute Tuyosi Alusanya at the other end moments later equally significant. And that report was by Ronnie Esplin.
Evening Times Sport, April 29. Dessers responds to Rangers critics. Report by David Irvin. Cyril Dessers has responded to his Rangers critics after hitting his 20th goal of the season. The 29-year-old Ibrox striker scored the winner against St Mirren yesterday to achieve the landmark goal tally this term. And while Dessers refused to say he had rammed criticism back down the throats of his doubters, the striker insisted he always knew he would score goals this season. The striker, signed from Cremonese in the summer, openly admitted he might not be the most beautiful striker, but cited his impact away from goal scoring for Rangers as just as important, as he revealed his delight at breaking a personal high-intensity runs record. "That's up to other people to answer that," said Dessers, of silencing his critics this season. "But I said it before, I was not just talking to talk at that point. I know that throughout my career, that if I play minutes, if I play games, I'm always going to score goals. I'm a striker who maybe on the eye is not the most beautiful striker or the most clean striker. I think with me as a striker, it's easy to see what's not there. But as I am in life, and I think this is a good lesson for everybody, I love to look at what's there, what you get out of me, and what I can do for the team. If you look only, then the numbers speak for themselves. But I'm not only talking about that. I'm talking about winning the battles with the defenders, about running. Last week I broke my record for high-intensity runs, for sprints. To do all of this for the team is of the same importance as scoring goals. These are the things people in the stands or on social media do not see immediately, but they are there and they benefit the team. So it's about more than just the goals, but I'm of course very happy to reach that number, but I want more." Report by David Irvin. Evening Times Sport, April 29. James Forrest responds to Scotland Euros wildcard shout. Report by David Irvin. James Forrest has admitted he would love to be included in Steve Clarke's Scotland squad for the Euros after his recent Celtic heroics. The 32-year-old winger scored a double for Celtic against Dundee yesterday, having also netted in the Scottish Cup semi-final triumph over Aberdeen the previous weekend. Forrest's start on Sunday was his first in 5 months for Brendan Rodgers, but the winger's output has sparked calls for a wildcard inclusion in the Scotland squad this summer. On a possible return to the international fold, Forrest said, "Honestly, I have not thought about it. I was not in the Celtic squad around January and February, and I have been buzzing being back in about it. I have managed to get on the score sheet a few times and come on and help the team. I just want to keep taking it game by game and help out here." Quizzed on whether he has any summer holiday plans for during the tournament dates, Forrest added, "I've not got a holiday booked. Obviously, in football, you never book your holidays early anyway. It's always last minute." Forrest last featured for Scotland in the Euros in 2021, coming off the bench in the opening group stage defeat to the Czech Republic. But the Celtic hero has explained he would be thrilled to step back into the Scotland squad if called upon by Clarke for the finals in Germany. And he continued, "If you ask any Scottish player, they would want to be involved. I went to the last Euros and it was a great experience, right from the first day of camp to the end. It was really good to be part of it. But I'm just going to concentrate on the games here. Report by David Irvin. Evening Times Sport, April 29. Lost Stuart Hogg reveals stint at rehab. Former Scotland international Stuart Hogg has revealed on his Instagram account that he has spent time in a rehabilitation centre after feeling lost. Hogg put a post out under the headline, "It's been tough." The former British and Irish Lion said, "I was lost, needed help, direction, time away from the spotlight, to be able to take a deep breath and think. I have been so concerned about what people thought of me, how I was coming across, the impact I would have on them, and how I would survive the day. I lived every moment in my head, and it was not healthy. Spending time at a rehabilitation centre allowed me to reset, learn about myself, and talk about how I felt, without being judged. It's not been easy, but it was the right thing to do. Taking accountability was the first step in the right direction. I accept I have made mistakes, and understand why I acted as I did. Personal, private issues being played out in the public eye and online abuse are things that have impacted me significantly. I have not been able to deal with it. Online abuse is not okay. Having some time away has allowed me to see the world differently, be grateful for the things I have, and most importantly, be excited about what is in front of me in the short, medium, and long term. Thank you to everyone who has been in touch and offered support, friendship, and love. You have helped me through the darkest of times, and I will look forward to embracing what is next with you all. Evening Times Sport, April 29. Rangers misfit makes history. Report by David Irvin. FC Utrecht boss Ron Jans brutally rated Sam Lammers as perhaps the worst player on the pitch, as the Rangers misfit made history in the Netherlands. The Dutch manager was critical of Lammers' display in the 2-2 draw with RKC Waalwijk on Sunday. Forgotten Rangers striker Lammers, on loan in the Netherlands until the summer, endured a difficult 90 minutes on the road, but popped up with a goal to snatch a draw 6 minutes from time. And in doing so, he broke a Utrecht club record by scoring in his 7th consecutive Eredivisie outing. Jans was honest in his assessment, but insisted he never considered taking Lammers off given his goal-scoring prowess in the Netherlands. The FC Utrecht manager said, "Sam was perhaps the worst player on the pitch for us, but I never even considered taking him off. He has simply built up too much credit with us for that. Sam is really a great striker. I sincerely hope we can keep him." Jans has made no secret of his desire to land Lammers on a permanent deal, but the player himself has given little thought to his future beyond the summer. The 26-year-old is contracted at Rangers until 2027, having signed a 4-year deal when he arrived from Atalanta in the summer. On his future, Lammers said, "My only aim and thought is to achieve European football next season for Utrecht. I am not thinking about what will happen beyond that." But fully in Lammers' mind is the opportunity to finish the season with a 10-in-a-row scoring record, should he net against Vitesse, Sparta Rotterdam and Alkmaar in the coming weeks, and he said, "If I managed to score in the 3 remaining games it would be great, because I would have scored in 10 matches in a row, and also because it would mean we would probably qualify for Europe. I did not play well, but as a striker, you are judged on goals, so I am happy with my recent goal-scoring run." Report by David Irvin. Evening Times Sport, April 29. Frustrated Robinson wants points, not plaudits at St Mirren. Report by David Irvin. Frustrated Stephen Robinson has insisted St Mirren deserved more than compliments and taking confidence from their loss to Rangers. The Buddies manager admitted he's grown fed up of narrow defeats to Celtic and Rangers, as he claimed his side created enough chances to beat Rangers, never mind snatching a draw. Philippe Clement was complimentary of the display from the hosts in Paisley, as too has Brendan Rodgers been previously this season. But Robinson is desperate for St Mirren to take points rather than plaudits in their quest for European football. Said Robinson, "Ultimately, I have had a lot of well-dones this season from top-class managers. Philippe was very complimentary about how good we are, the style of play we have, and Brendan was the same a couple of weeks ago. But ultimately, we have come out with no points from both games. We created enough chances today to win the game, never mind draw it. Their keeper made some terrific saves. The 2 goals are very much avoidable, 2 poor goals to concede. The goals were frustrating ones to lose. We have to be better than that, and we demand better than that. All the well-dones in the world do not get you points, unfortunately. Every game that we have played, we have caused them problems. We have had a lot of compliments without taking points. We have taken points off Aberdeen, Hibs, the other big teams in the league, where we have been clinical with chances. We were not clinical today, and we had enough chances. We do not accept that. Previously at the football club, we would have said we were unlucky. We were not unlucky. We should have defended better. If we want to be a sustainable top 6 club, which I believe we have the quality to be, we have to be better than that. We have to take our chances, and I will demand that. The boys know I will demand that. It's not, "Oh, we got beaten by Rangers and that's okay." We want more. I demand more. And I believe we will get more with the quality that we have. St Mirren travel to nearest rivals Dundee next weekend in a blockbuster encounter which could go a long way to decide which club takes 5th place and European qualification come the end of the season. On the trip to Dens Park, Robinson said, "It is a completely different game against Dundee, but take out those small indecisions and we will certainly pick up a lot of points." Report by David Irvin.
That concludes this week's edition of the Glasgow Times Sports podcast. Please remember to subscribe to our channels at Q and Review and to tell your friends about our service